These worlds, and we within them, are made of words. Hidden words, invisible to you, yet part of all things. We are a story. Your actions give life to the story, and the story gives meaning to your life.
So that's a really fun description. It isn't too on the nose. This is a world made of words, a program by any other name. And we are a predefined set of variables that influence how the program runs, I suppose. The most interesting part of Elohim's little speech there was, these worlds and we within them, putting himself inside the confines of this program. I thought he was supposed to be God. I thought he was supposed to exist outside. Or at least that he would see it that way. In my mind, he just lost a lot of his power, even if he only said it to try and relate to us a bit better. Hub A-4 has loads to it. Rocky cliffs, beaches, a plateau with all sorts of villas, potential for daring jumps. A lifetime of gaming has taught me to always walk backwards from the start of any new zone. And none of this traversal is necessary, even though it's possible. A rare feature that I'm a huge fan of. So while I'm exploring, let's get tangential. That wall mural I specifically pointed out, the one that has a knife to someone's throat, was identified by Rush Shirt as Achilles' sacrifice of the 12 Trojan prisoners at the funeral of Patroclus. As I suspected, the in-game mural has some tastefully located wear and tear. There was a text log in the last episode that used the word EL, L, and Furman pointed out that also means God or deity in Semitic languages, and is probably what Elohim derives from. To celebrate getting to the top, I thought I'd head back down to the bottom. My only misgiving with that was that I couldn't see a way back up. But I felt confident. I've dealt with impossible video game terrain before. There's a certain knack to it, and persistence is often rewarded, as it's hard for the devs to account for everything. I'd say there's one key trick to it, and oh wait, there's a kill trigger. Don't look at me like that. Before we get started, there are these little icons under each sigil now, which correspond to the icon in the bottom left of the screen, so I guess we'll be seeing whatever we unlocked in these next few rooms.
Behold, I am Elohim, and I speak unto the darkness. Be gone.
So what I was saying about Elohim before...
Excess data cleared.
Yeah. Even if he's confined to the same world that we are, he still holds quite a lot of sway. Or he's taking credit for a trivial cleanup routine. So we've got a blue wall-mounted something, a couple of tripods to play with, and our objective bobbing along. In these larger rooms, in order to make sense of everything, I end up just following the walls, rather than honing straight into anything new I see, which served me really well. I found the star almost instantaneously. Still can't get to it though. I'm going to shush for a bit here, let the mechanics speak for themselves. Note how when the wall gets in the way, the tripod icon in the centre of the screen goes dim, and it doesn't light back up even when I walk past these bars. As you can see by how quickly I sorted that out, it's really damn intuitive. The only thing that's not readily apparent is it takes a few moments for your body to cut off the supply. Of course, over in the red corner we can't open this gate because we've got nothing but blue. At least I assumed so, I never actually tried, but come on. So I just leave it alone for now. I saw these connectors in the promotional material. I imagined having to turn them to direct the lasers, like a mirror laser puzzle in any other game. Thankfully that's not the case, you just tell it what you want it to connect to, and then the HUD makes it abundantly clear whether it's going to connect or not when you put it down. Suffice to say, I can't wait to see what they do with these. While I'm crashing into the scenery, let's consider the logs. The first one was a progress report from Nadia Sarabai. Her role is, let's see, the Institute Coordinator. The whole project's moving from the Jeff building to the L facility. The name has changed from a silly bit of office humour to, hey, we're playing God, let's not mince words. There are some people already there, they're just moving on site because there's likely to be severe power outages in the near future. Deary me, what could it be? A few suggestions: in the near future they never solved the Earth's fuel crisis, and there isn't enough to go around. And yeah, I heard the sound of a recording disappear there, but I never managed to find it. Maybe the environmental impacts of fracking were all realised, and now there's no telling when an earthquake might cause disruptions. Maybe in the future everything is solar, and there's now just uncontrollable pollution or something. I'm gonna stop there. That text file also had some hexadecimal in it. Viggy Nash has translated some, and thankfully none of it is particularly plot relevant. The hidden text so far has been, Truth was the only daughter of time. The road of excess leads to the palace of wisdom. And facebook.com/crowteam. Hehe. The hidden text in Nadia's email where they have to say goodbye to Jeff appropriately translates to,
Life, finds a way.
The is included in the hex code, for your information. Over here is another QR code, another example of a short sentence implying much larger implications. Sheep is referring to Alexandra's time capsules. But are the other wretches us? Can he hear us somehow? Or just the recordings of us? Or is he somehow referring to Elohim and he gets confused when he says something in a slightly more aggravated tone of voice? This is a good puzzle, because it's set up in a way that shows off a mechanic without us needing to stumble into it by ourselves. You see how the lasers have kind of collided there. It also has a natural vantage point so you can see what's going on. This blocking mechanic I've really got to keep in mind. If there's ever a puzzle that requires specific timing, I'm sure it would involve this. Anyway, the title of the room is a fairly massive giveaway. And just checking here, it's fairly easy to judge my height, based on the perspective I've got. So now that I'd found a source for the red lasers, I thought, well, I've got to get it over to that star somehow. But requiring a non-obstructed path is a really severe limitation. Placement is going to be everything in future puzzles. I tried to get it as far as I could, but in the end I could see it was a lost cause. Even so, really intuitive, very fun just to move these objects around. I veered off at this point, ended up exploring the cliff edge at the back end of this area. Did I find anything? No, but Wanderlust has to be sated somehow. The second text log is an email from Arcady, the friendly archive team project lead. So much of it's corrupted, I may as well just read the whole thing out. I'll keep this short, you all know me so you know that I know what I'm talking about. I realise that you're all working on projects meant to somehow avert error, find a solution. I believe that error, preserve the non-biological components of error, not in terms of error, immediately. You'll find the details of my proposal in the attachment, but the short version is error, global undertaking error. All the garbled text basically says, "For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." Before I talk about this, just a short interlude. Somehow while walking around back here I missed the second audio log. All you have to do to find it is to walk in a straight line from the start of the area. While on the hunt for tiny details and disturbances, I somehow missed a fairly large, bouncing beach ball, but here it is.
The answer that came to me again and again was play. Every human society in recorded history has games. We don't just solve problems out of necessity. We do it for fun. Even as adults. Leave a human being alone with a knotted rope, and they will unravel it. Leave a human being alone with blocks, and they will build something. Games are part of what makes us human. We see the world as a mystery, a puzzle, because we've always been a species of problem solvers.
So taking everything in context, it's fairly clear, but once again it doesn't spell it out. We've already been tasked with proving our humanity. Alexandra is looking into what proves humanity, and she's decided that puzzles are the best gauge. Well, who is responsible for what we've been doing? So there's method behind the madness. These puzzles are here for a reason. It's all an elaborate experiment. But how the audio logs fit into that experiment, I'm not sure. If during an experiment a scientist boldly exclaims, "This is an experiment to see how much pain a person can endure," you know what he's saying is part of the experiment. Excuse me while I fall off the geometry. One cannot help oneself. The things we can glean from Arcadie's email are that this project is on a global scale. It's something to do with the preservation of non-biological components. What's happening to the biological components? Either we'll find out or it'll be left up to your imagination. And whatever that's about, I guess the project's ultimate goal is to try and avert it. Hopefully they succeeded and this whole simulation's just been left running in a corner somewhere. These jumps are unreasonable, both in difficulty and how I somehow managed to stay on regardless. Well, never mind. I don't think any of that was intended anyhow. But looking at the architecture, I could have made it quite far, at least onto the shingle roof. I have to reassess my assumptions. What, so you are supposed to jump up there? I don't think so. Again, the hidden text in Arcadie's email talks about creating new heavens and a new earth, so they are starting to become a touch more relevant. The text itself is from Isaiah 65:17, which goes on to say, "But be glad and rejoice forever in what I create." I'll give it a try. While I'm talking about this hidden text, there's one I haven't mentioned. The log that talks about the project leads contains the text, "Through inaction, allow humanity to come to harm." That's a really unfortunate truncation of Isaac Asimov's first law of robotics, which in its entirety is, a robot may not injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. This puzzle looks like it should have been the first one I stumbled into. It's only got one connector for us to interact with, and it shows off everything it can do. It's got a second connector that's out of reach, but I just could not see where that was coming from. It looked like it was originating from a tree. Honestly, these next few seconds are a summary of the head desk glory of a blind playthrough, so I'm going to talk over it. Karrig wrote a nice post on the singularity, how we might protect ourselves when creating it intentionally. He mentions Asimov's laws, but if you've read iRobot, it's nothing but... finally, flippin' heck. Sorry, it's nothing but examples of robots finding loopholes in the laws that we weren't smart enough to preemptively handle. The alternative to baking in a set of rules is to put the AI in a world where it can learn morals, behaviours, boundaries, how to interact with others so it will interact with us in the same way. The tripod up there looks a little different to me, but it's probably my imagination. So if we've been put into a world where we're supposed to learn how to be a regular person, how effective do you think that will be without others around? Do you think we can get by just by focusing on a human's propensity for puzzle solving alone? I have my suspicions. I mean, there are all these messages, but do they really count? At the end of the day, it's my own mind. If I think that I've got it, then by Jove I have. If I turn the game off and don't come back, which in-game would be curling up in a corner and crying robot tears, it doesn't necessarily mean I've failed to be like a regular person, but I've failed to be the person that the AI creators want me to be. Faith, once again, is full of it. Full of faith, I mean. Don't know where she got these notions from. That's just what I was saying. A person is made of more than just their ability to complete puzzles. In fact, it fits what I was just saying. The AI creators may not have the capacity to fully understand what it might take to turn myself into a person. If I've got a better idea, well heck, I'm the genius AI. I should be able to enforce it. I've got your number, you inferior, probably deceased humans. This is a good puzzle. It's all in the title. Don't cross the streams. Over here it's clear that the connector can also get in the way of the laser. I decided to test out whether blue lasers would interrupt blue lasers, and sure enough... So there are some nice, clear, consistent limitations to this mechanic. I feel assured that nothing unexpected is going to happen without being immediately assured as to why. And now all that's left is the star. Some thought process here. The star requires a red laser. 2 of these rooms have red lasers in them, and the one I was just in was the closest. I can't go through the wall, I can't go through the purple barrier, by which I mean there's nowhere to connect purple barriers together. I don't know whether a laser will continue through a barrier, but now I have something to try next time I play. I know that these connectors care a lot about elevation. I know that you can find connectors higher than you yourself can put them. And so I'm searching the horizon, bearing in mind that I'm truly terrible at spotting them, even when they're attached to a dotted line. Just to be sure, I'm also checking I can't put the tripod on top of a wall or chuck it over. None of that's happening. Eventually I decide to see what I can see from the room I'm supposed to be aiming at. Starting at the end and working backwards. That's often the way to go. While I do that, the third text log is again a fragment from Stratton of Stagera. He warns against analysing things with a conclusion already in mind. Instead, a conclusion should come from those observations. In particular, don't start with the conclusion that mankind is perfect, as it's a baseless assumption. Seek the truth, even if it bears no comfort. And now, a couple of millennia later, we are able to consider, mankind as a whole, whether we should create an entity smarter than ourselves. Following this philosophy, then yes, it would lead to a lot more truth, a lot quicker, at the cost of humanity's stranglehold. There it is. So what I thought here was, where's a good place to hide it? It's not on any of these walls, I can see that. Still, a significant part of me did not expect that to be the solution. A validating sight. The hidden text on the log file is, "The unexamined life is not worth living." It's a quote attributed to Socrates, and is a bit harsh, very absolute. It might have been said a bit tongue-in-cheek, but taken on its own, it feels like he believes that only his method of existence is worthwhile. Though I guess if you set the threshold for an examined life quite low, i.e. doing anything more than your base instincts, yeah, not even seeking your potential as a human could be seen as a waste. That is great, as soon as distance comes into the equation, not to mention some more of this interpuzzle connectivity, it suddenly feels like you can do anything with these few, not so simple tools. There's that Achilles mural again. Yeah, we know what you are. So in summary, we're here to learn to be a person, There are AIs that have come before us, some of which are more than happy to follow along the appointed path, such as Faith version 10, and others like the @ symbol, version 17, a little more pragmatic. I don't know if that's just because he's older, in quotation marks. Version 17 suggested signposting, making things easier for later versions, which I guess is what these messages have been attempting, although their assistance has been limited. More to the point, I can only leave messages for help, so why can't I throw up some misleading information? I'm really not sure whether Elohim is in control of anything or not. He suggested these parts of the world. He caused the dark to come and cleared it away. Or did he? Maybe he's just opportunistic. Saw an opening to do something impressive and went for it. We now have a box on our HUD, next to the connector, which I'm understandably ecstatic about. Maybe we can put the connector on top of the box. Who knows? Probably. Maybe it unfolds into a robot friend and we can play catch with that beach ball. Maybe it'll have a heart emblazoned on the side and we won't be alone anymore. Maybe it'll spew out endless quantities of gummy bears. Oh boy, what's today's Easter egg? From the start we go around the side of this first building, jump off the cliff and find a solitary bush on a little outcrop. An Easter egg! How meta! I tried waiting for the Easter bird, but he never showed up. You already saw this one. While listening to the audio log, I accidentally found this myself. Let's hear what it says.
Sam, have you reached the Sphinx yet? We've translated one of the lines, but we still don't have a solution. It says the true riddle of the Sphinx has many questions, but only one answer.
It's a serious Sam callback. Hurrah, I never played that game. Maybe I should. These jumps! They were intentional. Can you believe it? Don't worry, this isn't a failure reel. I'll make it this time. Whoops. Maybe if I was smarter, I'd try this in third person. Maybe if I was smarter, I wouldn't try and do this at all. Maybe by attempting to throw myself between buildings, I've proved that I shouldn't be responsible for the gift of humanity. The prize? A floppy disk with the words top secret on it. I continued on for the sake of it and fell off at what is probably the easiest jump of the lot. Oh well. Why did these terminals take floppy disks? Just for this one? That's monstrously inefficient. Oh. All is calm now. Yeah, all is nice. Everything's great. Yeah. All that's left of the internet is kittens. And forced melodrama. Burn it all down and start again.